Yahoo didn't lose the internet. They sold it off, piece by piece, decision by bad decision. It's hard to imagine now, but in the early 2000s, Yahoo was the internet. It was the front door to the entire digital world. Search, email, news, finance, weather, games. If you went online, you went through Yahoo. It wasn't just a website, it was a daily habit for hundreds of millions of people. At its absolute peak, Yahoo was a titan, valued at over $100 billion. Think about that. They had the audience. They had the data before big data was even a term. They had some of the brightest minds in tech working for them. They had everything. So what happened? How does a company with such an incredible head end up as a footnote in internet history? The story of Yahoo's decline isn't about one single mistake. It's a cascade of them, a series of critical moments where they had the future in their hands and let it slip away. The first major turning point came all the way back in 1998. Two Stanford graduate students, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, were shopping around their new search technology. They called it Backrub, which would later become Google. They approached Yahoo, one of the biggest players in the game, and offered to sell their creation. Yahoo said no, they didn't see the value. They were a portal, a directory of the web, and their own search was good enough, they thought. So those two students went off and founded their own company, Google. But the story doesn't end there. History gave Yahoo a second chance. A few years later, in 2002, Google was a rising star, but still a relatively small company. Yahoo's then CEO, Terry Semel, recognized the growing threat and entered into talks to acquire Google. The asking price? $5 billion. Semel negotiated them down to $3 billion. Google's founders held firm at $5 billion. Semel, feeling they were overvalued, walked away from the deal. He later tried to come back to the table, offering to buy them for just $1 billion. It was too late. Google was already on a rocket ship to dominance. Today, Google's parent company, Alphabet, is worth trillions. Yahoo could have owned it all for a price that now seems like a rounding error. It was perhaps the single most expensive no in corporate history. You'd think they would have learned their lesson. But lightning struck again. A few years later, a young Harvard student named Mark Zuckerberg was making waves with his new social network, the Facebook. It was growing like wildfire on college campuses. Once again, Yahoo saw an opportunity. They entered negotiations to buy Facebook for $1 billion. The deal was nearly done, but then Yahoo's earnings report came out, and it was a bit disappointing. Yahoo's management got cold feet and tried to lower their offer to $850 million. Zuckerberg, feeling insulted, walked away. Facebook, of course, went on to become another multi-trillion-dollar company. Yahoo had another chance to buy the future of the internet, and once again, they hesitated and missed it. This pattern of hesitation points to a much deeper problem within Yahoo. Instead of having a single, clear, long-term strategy, the company was in a constant state of flux. It was a ship without a captain, or rather a ship with too many captains, each trying to steer it in a different direction. They went through a revolving door of CEOs, Terry Semel, company co-founder Jerry Yang, Carol Bartz, Scott Thompson, and finally Marissa Mayer. Each new leader arrived with a brand new vision. One day, Yahoo was a media company. The next, it was an advertising tech company. Then it was a search company again. Then it was trying to be a social media company. They were always chasing the latest trend instead of creating it. This constant shifting had a devastating effect. While Yahoo was trying to be everything to everyone, its competitors were laser-focused. Google dedicated itself to perfecting search and building an ecosystem around it. Facebook obsessed over connecting people and building the social graph. They dug deep moats around their core businesses. Meanwhile, Yahoo's resources were spread thin across dozens of initiatives. Nothing was given enough time, money, or attention to truly succeed and become the best in its class. Their products, which were once industry-leading, slowly became mediocre. They were good enough, but no longer great. The internal culture suffered immensely. Talented engineers and product managers grew frustrated with the lack of direction. Why build something incredible if a new CEO might just cancel the project in 6 months? Many of the best people left, often heading to the very companies Yahoo had failed to acquire, like Google and Facebook. Innovation ground to a halt. The company that had once been the pioneer of the internet was now just a follower, constantly playing catch-up. Their homepage became cluttered with ads, their user experience worsened, and the magic that once defined the brand faded away. The cost of these decisions was staggering and brutal. The market value, which had once soared past $100 billion, began a long and painful collapse. The company that defined the internet for a generation became increasingly irrelevant. User numbers dwindled, revenue fell. Finally, in 2017, what was left of Yahoo's core internet business was sold to Verizon for less than $5 billion. That's a 95% drop from its peak value. A company that once had the chance to own both Google and Facebook ended up being sold for parts. The lesson of Yahoo is a powerful one. It shows that failure in the tech world often isn't a sudden, catastrophic event. It's a death by 1,000 cuts. It's the result of a series of small, seemingly rational decisions that over time lead you down the wrong path. Yahoo didn't fail overnight. They failed one decision at a time, one missed opportunity after another, until there was nothing left to miss. Thanks for watching. If you found this story interesting, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest stories in business and tech. See you in the next one.